In this movie, I'll introduce you to another feature of Smart Objects that doesn't have a name. That is to say, Adobe's never given it a name, which is why I call it True Clones. And the idea is you can create several copies of a Smart Object, and they'll all link back to a single original. So we're going to start with this revised version of the artwork. You can see that I've switched out the tiger's head for a more colorful piece of stock art, but it's still a Smart Object that links back to Adobe Illustrator. And I also have this layer of text. We're going to go ahead and convert the text into a Smart Object and copy it several times to create this watermark pattern. And the idea is we're including this watermark, so if we give away the image for free, it's not usable until somebody purchases and downloads an unwatermarked version of the composition. But because I've set the watermark up using True Clones, I can always switch out the company name if I want to, like this. And I can do so in just a couple of operations, as we'll see. So let's start off in this base composition here. For starters, I need to set up a kind of grid so that I can create copies of my text layer at regular intervals. So I'm going to press Ctrl-R or Command-R on a Mac to bring up the rulers. And then I'll select the background here in the Layers panel and press Ctrl-A or Command-A on a Mac in order to select the entire artwork. And then I'll press Ctrl-T or Command-T on a Mac in order to enter the free transform mode. At which point I can see this reference point target right there, which represents the exact center of my artwork. And now I'll drag down a horizontal guideline and snap it into alignment with that target. And if you end up not seeing your guide, as I'm not seeing mine, then press Control semicolon or Command semicolon on a Mac in order to show those guides. And then I'll drag a vertical guideline out as well. And then I'll press the Escape key in order to escape out of the free transform mode. And I'll press Control-D or Command-D on a Mac in order to deselect my artwork. One more thing we want to do is locate the origin point for the ruler right there at that guide intersection. So I'll drag from the upper left corner of the rulers and snap my cursor into alignment with those guidelines. And now you can see the 0, 0 point is right there at the center of the artwork. All right, I don't need my rulers anymore, so I'll press Ctrl-R or Command-R on a Mac to hide them. And then I'll switch to my text layer and convert it to a Smart Object by going up to the Layers panel flyout menu and choosing Convert to Smart Object. Or if you loaded D keys, you can press Control, comma, or Command, comma on the Mac. Now, in an ideal world, I'd be able to duplicate this text by pressing Control-Alt or Command-Option-T, and then step and repeat by pressing Control-Shift-Alt or Command-Shift-Option-T. But unfortunately, neither of those features work with Smart Objects. So what I'm going to do instead is press Control-J or Command-J on the Mac a couple of times in order to create copies of that Smart Object layer. Then I'll click on the middle one to select it, and I'll press Control-T or Command-T on the Mac in order to enter the free transform mode. And you want to make sure up here in the options bar that this triangle, the delta, is turned off so that you're seeing absolute positioning values. And then change that Y value to 0 and press the Enter key or the Return key on the Mac a couple of times in order to scoot that text so its center is exactly vertically aligned to the center of the artwork. Now click on the lowest of the Photos by Floyd layers, and then press Control-T or Command-T on the Mac to once again enter the free transform mode and change that Y value from negative to positive. So just get rid of the minus sign and press the Enter key or the Return key on the Mac a couple of times in order to nudge that text down. So by virtue of the fact that we're using the same value, just a positive value instead of a negative value, it's as far below the center of the artwork as the original layer is above the center of the artwork. All right, that takes care of our first 3 true clones of our Smart Object original. In the next movie, I'll show you how to create the other true clones using a simple but clever transformation trick.